ימי ספירה, חצי שעה קודם שקיעת החמה לא יאכל סעודה של פת או עוגה יותר משיעור כביצה. Halachot that applies all week, but especially on Friday night. A person should not start a meal half hour prior to the time of the sefirah, which he brings down. Already a person could be yotzeh from the time of shki'ah, so therefore a person should be mahmid from the time of the shki'ah. So a person wants to do that. So it's a half hour prior to the shki'ah. Person should not start a meal. However, you have the shitat Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah holds that the time for the sefirah, like most of us do, is Seta Kochavim. You wait till Seta Kochavim to count the Sfirat HaOmer, at least Lechatchila. Therefore, person should not start, at least minimum half hour prior to Seta Kochavim. Person should not start a meal. According to Mishnah Berurah, person should not start his meal before then. Again, we're talking about a meal that consists of either bread, or if it consists of mezonot, more than 2 ounces of mezonot would make this this isur. For example, if a guy's having a slice of pizza, or a guy's having other foods which might be mezonot, in such a case, as long as it's more than 2 ounces, it also has the same din, and the person would not be able to start his meal. If let's say he started earlier during the time when it was still mutar, you were allowed to, it was an hour before the shki'ah, and then comes the time, for example, let's say somebody prayed early tonight, and then they started their meal, and in the middle of the meal, the time came for the sfirah. It became 8:25, now it's time to count the sfirat ha'omer. Does the person have to stop his meal to count the omer? He says, he does not have to stop. When you finish the meal, you could stop and then count the omer. Again, this is all for a person who doesn't want to stop. But if a person wants to stop, he says, I don't mind, I'm afraid I might forget it, I want to say it right now. Of course, a person is allowed to stop and say it right away. However, if a person started the meal be'isur, when he wasn't allowed to, it was within the half hour, in such a case, since it's not a big deal to stop, and anyways, Sfirah is only the banan, so in such a case, a person should stop his meal. If he started the isur, if he started within the half hour, then he should stop, say the Sefirah, and then continue his meal. Person is allowed to taste and have, let's say, fruits and other things before the omer is counted. Again, as long as it's not a meal, a person is allowed to have any kinds of desserts or whatever it is that he wants to have prior to the seudah. Then he's allowed to have that, and then when it gets to the omer, he'll count, and then he can continue and start his meal. That's mutar. There is another way out. He brings down from the Kaf HaHaim that another way to be able to avoid the problem of sefirah, that in case a person already got into the period of time within the half hour and he wants to be able to start his meal and he doesn't want to wait half hour. So in such a case, his other option is to ask his friend or ask someone else who's with him to remind him for the Sefirat HaOmer. If another person will remind you for the Omer, then in such a case you have a heter to start your meal and you don't have to wait the half hour.